Okay, right. Okay, so we'll talk about phrasal verbs today, right? Last week we did discuss a little bit on modal verbs. So, in continuation with that, right? I say in continuation because a couple of topics that we'll be taking up from now on, they're going to be important from the perspective of spoken English. Like we mentioned in the last class, that even when it comes to modal verbs in fact has you know equal sort of weightage in both spoken as well as your written English. Uh, Certain topics that we are going to deal with from now on, including modal verbs, right, are going to be particularly for the sake of improvement on spoken English. So one of it would be phrasal verbs, as we're going to do today, followed up by discussion on phrases and idioms, right? Phrases and idioms, they are a bit of a different category, although you might want to phrase them under the spoken part in the language itself. But so to speak, it's a bit more advanced thing, right? In the sense that it has more of figurative and idiomatic meaning and all that. We'll discuss what that means in today's class when we're looking at phrasal verbs, right? But what I meant to say is that phrases and idioms will also have a part where you will need to actually, look for it consciously. You'll have to maybe make a list of things, both phrases and idioms, in order to be able to begin using them. We could be using them already, a lot of it, but if you want to add to them, then there's some sort of an enlisting that you need to do. Anyway, that part we'll discuss as we take up that. But for today's class, we'll be discussing on phrasal verbs. Okay. A lot of us may have, a bit of a problem. See, like as mentioned with respect to phrases and idioms, phrasal verbs are also a sort of category which could create confusions, right? For example, people who are not, so to speak, native speakers, for them it's natural, of course. But if we are people who use English as a foreign language, or say second or third language, this is one particular category which can create confusions in terms of its use, because it's a very special sort of thing, right? It has its own Sonali, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Regarding the
Yeah.
communication skill workshops, ma'am, today I got a message on an email regarding the communication skill workshop.
Yeah.
So, could you please, ma'am, explain it? What is it from starting from 16 to
Okay. We'll discuss about this by the end of the class. Okay. Let's not
Okay,
lose
ma'am.
the momentum on what we're discussing. And whenever you get emails on, guys, just a minute, huh?
Ma'am, what?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so particularly with regards to workshop and all of this, no, it's best that you write the mail back to the team itself, because they'll be able to clarify your questions on workshop. Because it depends on who's taking the sessions on, whatever the workshop is on, whether communication skills or anything else. You'll have a series of them lined up. So write back to them so that they can give you more clarity on what you want, right? As far as I know, I don't think you need to really add or send anything. You just, if you're planning to attend it, you just follow up the link and go to the class. That's all. Okay. And if there are any further instruction, then most of it would be given in the class itself. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Uh, sure. Usually, none of the sessions require, there's no prerequisite. And mostly they're open to the given batch of people, right? Whatever it mentions in the announcement. If there's anything more, then probably they'll inform you through an email, or probably the session itself will provide you details on that. Okay. Right. Yeah. So we get back to what we're discussing on. So phrasal verbs, right? We're talking about how it's important. as far as spoken English is concerned. So yes, if you are looking forward to improve on the spoken aspects of your language, then this is one particular area which you can, spend some considerable amount of time on, right? Looking at phrasal verbs, its use, and a lot of other things, right? Anything relating that is related to phrasal verbs should be of concern to you if you're someone who's trying to improve your speaking proficiency in English, right? Because these can really make a positive impact on how people view your English speaking skills, particularly in this case. So pay attention to this. We'll discuss about what this is, what form and function it has, and also to the ways to master it, right? Um, I'll share the worksheet in a short while, but let's have a quick discussion on what these phrasal verbs are. If you've already attended the lecture, then good and fine. Otherwise, please make sure that you read them thoroughly. I think you must have already, because this one was there for the quiz or the qualifier, if I'm not wrong. Okay. So, just to begin on what phrasal verbs are and what their functions are, right? They function mostly like verbs, right? So let's take an example. Like, for example, you may look at your chat in case you want to. Let's say we have a phrase like come across, right? For example, let's say this one, okay? And maybe a few more, right? Let come across is one. Uh, Another one is say rope in. This one you might be familiar if you had already looked at the telephonic conversation, right? The lectures on telephonic conversations. So come across, rope in, look after, right? Or say something like give up, right? Um, then what else? One more. We'll work with that. Okay, give in. Okay, that could also be an example. So look at all of them, right? This is essentially what you mean by phrasal verbs in English, right? And what is the combination? Like when you look at the words come across, rope in, look after, give up, give in, right? What is it that you see as a structure in these phrases? Like what makes up a phrasal verb? Could you answer this? What makes up these phrasal verbs? Come across, rope in, look after, give up, give in. What do you see here? Just a moment, guys. Okay, yeah, no responses. What do you see as what makes up these phrasal verbs?
Position.
Please answer. No issues. Are you trying to speak? Because I think I did not hear you. Probably your mic is not functioning properly. I am audible to you guys, right? You don't have any issues.
Positions. Yeah.
Prepositions. Okay, all right. Okay, but before that, I'm audible to you guys, right?
Yeah,
Fine.
audible.
Okay, then no issues. Fine. Yeah. So your answer was prepositions, right? And what else? What else? You have a combination of two things there. One is, of course, a preposition, and the first part is what? It's a verb, right?
Yeah, what?
You have a verb and a preposition. Now, if you have observed in the lecture, you will see preposition, but there's another thing that's used there, right? The word or the phrase used there is adverbial particle, right? So the meaning of adverbial particle is that it's a word which functions like an adverb. right? It's not an adverb. We know what adverbs are, we have discussed. So if you look at the category that you have in this phrasal verb, you might want to feel, you might want to ask that, but these are prepositions. Why do we call them adverbials, right? The reason is they act like adverbials. Like they can tell you about what adverbs can tell you, although in structure they look like preposition, right? Which is why we don't the word preposition is added in the lecture for the sake of beginners who might get confused, but the actual answer to that question is that phrasal verbs are usually formed by combinations of verbs and adverbial particles. Okay, you understand why we call them adverbial particles, because they function or they the meanings that they generate are in the form like an adverb would do that, right? Which is why adverbial particles. Prepositions most of the times can function like adverbials because they can tell you about the place, the time, the direction, so on and so forth, right? That's why they're included under the category of the adverbial particles. So don't get confused about it. Okay. Don't think why, there's both adverb and then preposition. Adverbial particles and preposition are two different things. Okay, there are several other categories which can fall under adverbial particles. But here we are only discussing with the help of those words which otherwise look like prepositions because they tell you about place, time, direction, hence adverbial qualities. Okay, any question on that? There's several people joining in even now. Uh, but for the people who are here, do you understand what we were talking or do you have any questions? Clear why it is called adverbial particle, although like it looks like a preposition. Okay, right. So as far as the structural part is concerned, one of the aspect is that it's formed by the combination of the verb and the adverbial particle, right? And the second thing that you need to keep in mind is that the phrasal verbs also change based on the tense, right? So if we are going to take an example from the list that we have here, right? Let's say come across, right? So if the tense is present tense, then the verb is also going to take the present tense form. If it is in the past tense, then it's also going to take in the past tense form. So I can very well say, I came across someone on my way to college. I can also say that I come across a building every day that on the way when I go to the college. So the verb part, because it's a verb, every property that is applicable to the verb, every grammatical change that are applicable to the verb is applicable to this one also. Although it's in combination with an adverbial particle and is used as a phrasal verb. Remember, phrasal verb is still under the category of verb. So it can undergo the grammatical changes that a verb can deal with it as well. And the most important change that a verb undergoes while we construct a sentence is what? The change in tense, right? So that one is applicable to the phrasal verb also. Yes, question?
Ma'am, do you presenting any screen?
I am not.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so that point grammatically you need to keep in mind, right? We are dealing with a phrasal verb, and certainly because it is also categorized under the verb, whatever grammatical changes happen to a verb will be applicable to the phrasal verb also, right? Okay. Now, third important thing about a phrasal verb would be the meaning that it generates, right? So look at these phrasal verbs we have in the, sorry, just a moment. The ones that we have in the chat, right? So we have 5 of them. I'll just reshare it for the sake of people who have joined just now. So we have come across, right? We have rope in. We have look after. We have give up. And we have give in, right? These are the 5 we were discussing. Could you tell me what would be the meaning of these phrasal verbs? Come across. What does the phrasal verb come across mean? No? So when I say that I came across, or let's say, let's not take it in as a sentence. Let's simply say come across, right? Does it mean that something has come across you? Does it have the literal meaning of come and across, or does it have a combination of the meaning of both come and across? Ravi, your answer is fine. I'm just trying to understand if you get this point of literal versus idiomatic. Right. So my point is whether it is come across or rope in or look after, they don't have literal meanings at all, right? Phrasal verbs are an important category because of that. Yeah, right. So they don't have literal meanings. By literal meaning, I mean that the meaning of the phrasal verb come across will neither have any similarity to the meaning of the word come or the meaning of the word across, right? The meaning it generates is completely different from what both of these words mean individually. Now, if this is the case, this kind of a meaning is referred to as idiomatic meaning, right? If you have heard the lecture, there's an expression that's used there, idiomatic, right? Idiomatic meanings. Phrasal verbs have idiomatic meanings. The meaning of this phrase idiomatic is basically this. It's not literal. You cannot retrieve or get the meaning of the phrasal verb, give up, give in, look after, or anything else by just looking at the individual literal meaning of the words give or up or give or in, or so on and so forth. Okay. The meaning would be completely different from the individual meanings of the word which combine, the ones that combine to form that phrasal verb. Okay. Which is why idiomatic expression or idiomatic meaning. Okay. Which is the reason why this is a difficult part to learn for a lot of us also. Right? Learning verbs or adjectives and nouns are not a difficult task because they usually have referential qualities. You can relate to it. Either you can relate to it, you can feel it, experience it, or you can point out to an object and understand what it is. But when it comes to idiomatic meanings, the problem is that there is no direct reference, right? Nothing is literal. You will have to figure it out. And hence, when you're learning a foreign language, this particular part becomes a little difficult. All right. So this, yeah. So this could be a yeah. Go on.
Madam, I have a doubt.
Is it related to this? If it is that, then you may ask now.
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
Yeah. Go on.
Madam, sorry, I didn't understood adverbial part.
Adverbial
Means,
particle.
yeah, madam. Means adverb, it's end with ly.
No. So that is also another thing that you need to keep in mind. Not all adverbs are going to end in ly, right? Basic part of adverb, basic understanding of adverb should tell you it's not always the words that end in ly. A certain type or the certain kind of adverbs will end in ly. Mostly the ones that are called the adverbs of manner, right? But the others don't. Like a word like early or a word like fast, they're also adverbs, but they don't end in ly. So it's not necessary that adverbs need to end in ly, or adverbs like most, rather, quiet, very, they don't end in ly. They're all at degree adverbs. So first thing is that there's no necessity that your adverbs end in ly, and adverbs are different from adverbial particles. Okay, adverbial particles have adverb-like quality, which means the actual word sitting there could be a conjunction or a preposition, but it delivers the meaning of an adverb. Like in this case, the phrasal verb has actually a preposition followed by the verb, but it doesn't function like a preposition there. It functions more like an adverb. Hence the name adverbial particle. Got it?
Okay, ma'am.
So keep in mind, don't call it an adverb. Don't say it's a combination of a verb and an adverb. That would be a wrong way to look at it, right? You must say adverbial particle. Okay. All right. So the point on idiomatic expressions, I hope you've understood that, right? It simply means you can't gather the literal meaning and then produce the meaning of the phrasal verb, right? It will definitely have a meaning that is figurative or idiomatic, which is other than the meanings of the individual words there, right? Okay, so can we quickly look at the meanings of these, some of the 5 of the ones that we have put in here? And just keep this in mind. There are a lot of phrasal verbs. Just a minute, guys. Okay, right. So let's look at the meaning. Let's see if you can come up with the meaning of these 5 phrasal verbs that we have written down in the chat. What would you think? Okay, not come across. Come across, I think Ravi has already answered. He says it means to witness. Okay, or even you can put on a meaning like just to see something. If you've just seen something on the way, okay, so the simple act of seeing is referred to as come across, right? How about rope in?
Ma'am, add.
Add, right? Add somebody to a call or add somebody to a meeting. That would mean rope in. So rope and in, does it have the meaning that you gave me? Add, no? Like this is what we were discussing. You don't have a trace of meaning of either rope or in for the meaning add, right? Which is why also this is a little difficult thing to master unless you practice it regularly. Okay. And practicing it regularly would mean using it in the conversation. But to begin using it in the conversation, you will have to listen to more of content in English. And this is particularly an area which you will have to master by looking at more informal contents in English, right? Not the usual serious thing that you might be seeing, but things like, movies or series or anything that is more, which has more flavors of pop culture, right? Something that has got to do more with the cultural elements of the English language is the kind of content you should watch in order to improve on this particular aspect, which is the phrasal verb. Okay, because that is where most of these phrasal verbs would be found, right? The more serious content is going to use formal language, and they have a tendency to use synthetic verbs over phrasal verbs. So if you're planning to master on the phrasal verb, then you should concentrate more on the cultural part of the language, right? Anything that gives you that aspect of the language, which is mostly pop culture, like songs or movies or series, so on and so forth. Okay, any question? I thought someone unmuted. Okay, all right. Okay, so if that's the case, then look after. What would look after mean?
Take care of.
Caring.
Take care, right? To care for someone. That's look after, care for someone. Give up. Give up.
To lose.
Yeah, to lose or to accept defeat, right?
Surrender.
Surrender. Yes, correct. Give in. Give in would
Yield.
mean.
Yield.
Sorry?
Give
Fall
in refers
for
to
surrender.
surrender, I think.
That is surrender, right? Give in
Yeah.
is basically what surrender would be, right? You give in to someone's pressure or give in to the
Yield to
idea.
someone.
Correct. Give in to someone, give in to somebody's proposal, right? So on and so forth. So all of this tells you very clearly that the meanings are quite different from what you have in as the words literal meaning here, right? Now, once that part is done, there's one more element that is important as far as phrasal verbs are concerned, and those are the types of phrasal verbs, right? There are 2, namely separable and inseparable, right? Now, separable would simply mean that the combination that you have between the verb and the adverbial particle here, it is breakable, right? And if it is inseparable, it would mean that you cannot break it. This combination has to be always found together, both the verb and the adverbial particle that you have used to that you have in the phrasal verb, they always stay together. You cannot bring in anything between them. If that is the case, if that is how this phrasal verb is used without a separation between its verb component and its adverbial component, then they are called inseparable, right? If anything can interfere between these two, then they're separable. Simple. Just to understand what it is, it's just that. Okay. Now, if there is an interference, if there's no interference, then there's no question. We don't have to talk too much about it. If there's an interference, there are certain categories that can interfere. Not everything and every other category possible in the language can do that. What can interfere between these two? It can be either a noun, right? Or it can be a personal pronoun, right? So let's take an example. If we look at the examples we have here, let me see if we have any. Okay, let's say give up. Okay, if we have something like give up. Is it separable or inseparable?
Inseparable.
Okay, can you explain why it would be inseparable? Or are there
Ma'am,
anybody in the group who thinks it is separable?
Yes, ma'am.
It is separable. Okay, so both of you give your examples to tell me why one is separable or why it is inseparable.
One example is
Hmm.
give me, give her. These are the example of give being separate, and up, go down. These
No,
are
no, no.
direction
Give,
is always separable to any word.
give me a full sentence. To understand
You
phrasal verbs,
should
it's
give up.
always better you answer in full sentence.
You will you pass me that book that I
Hmm.
gave you?
Uh-huh. But where is the phrasal verb here? We are using give up, no? Where is give up?
ma'am, can I?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, just wait, let her answer and then I'll come back to you. Yeah, you can answer now. Who wanted to answer? Sonali? You can go ahead.
You should not give up.
You should not give up. Okay. So this is where it is used as an inseparable one. That is, we don't see any separation. But where can we use it in the inseparable sense? You told me it is inseparable, right? So if it is separable, then you should be able to bring in either a noun or a personal pronoun in between. Where is that?
Ma'am, but I said inseparable.
You said inseparable. Okay, fine. Yeah,
Ma'am, I
I
said
mean,
it is separable, and one example would be you should
huh,
stop following her, or
okay.
you should give her up.
Okay, you should give her a, okay, all right.
Ma'am, but the meaning is totally different.
Huh. No, I am not yet saying that it is right. I am only trying to get a stock of things from you on what is your understanding of this particular topic. That's all. Okay. The first example she gave was that you should not give up. Right. Yeah. And the giving up can be on anything. You should not give up on whatever. I'm just keeping that blank. But there it is used together. I am looking for an example from people who think it is separable. Yeah, anything?
Ma'am, I think give up is not separable because I didn't find any
Mm-hmm.
example.
You cannot find an example. It's not a reason to think
Uh,
it is like that. Uh,
Ma'am,
huh.
but
it is
there is
separable,
no
but
example.
Sorry?
is my example wrong, or should I phrase it in another way?
No, no, it's not about phrasing. See, as far as the uh, question is concerned, we are only seeing if there's an element that can come in between give and up. So, your example, if it has come together, and also has the meaning of, what is that, accepting defeat sort of thing, then it's fine, right? So when I say something
You should
is,
then this can also be reversed. You
so
should
see,
not give
just
her up.
listen to this first. Listen to this first. If a particular phrasal verb is separable, it can be used as an inseparable thing also, right? I can put give up together and use it, like the examples you guys have given me, right? Don't give up on something, or, you should not give up on so and so. These are all correct examples, right? This is the way where you use give up as an inseparable one. Now, because it is also a separable phrasal verb, you should have an example on how we use it. I am trying to get an example for its usage in the separable format. Your examples are correct, they are not wrong. But I am looking for an example where you can break this open and use it.
What classifies as a breakup?
What classifies as a breakup?
Individual.
You need to separate the verb and the adverbial particle. There should be something that intervenes the verb and the adverbial particle. Then you call it separable.
How
Like
big can the
example,
breakup be?
pass the book up
Can I put an entire
or give
sentence
the
in
book
between
up.
it?
Just a moment. There are two of you speaking. Just take a break. And who was speaking? Vinayak was speaking. You tell me first.
Ma'am, how big can this gap will be? A noun,
Sorry?
or I can put an entire sentence between them.
No. That's what I just discussed. No, it can be either a pronoun, right? An object pronoun, or it can be a noun, right?
A
So I
singular
can say
noun or pronoun,
you.
or
So if I
multiple
say
nouns or
something
pronouns?
like you should give smoking up, this is right. I can say you give smoking up, or I can say give up smoking. So smoking is what? It's used as a noun, right? It's a noun. I've used noun as the intervening particle here. Alternatively, I can also use a pronoun like it, or her, or him, or whatever the examples you were giving me. Give it up, right? So this is the way how you use a intervening particle for a separable phrasal verb. So it can either be a noun or it can be a pronoun. Okay. So a lot of the times what happens is we are either accustomed to using a separable phrasal verb as inseparable all the time. A lot of us will not know that, okay, give up is a separable one. I can actually use something in between it, right? Here's where the problem lies. So this part, now that we are talking about it, most of the phrasal verbs are actually separable. Most of them, right? There are only a few numbers of phrasal verbs which are inseparable. If that helps, there shouldn't be more than 20 or 25 of them which are inseparable. Otherwise, most of the phrasal verbs are actually separable. You can actually intervene it with a noun or a pronoun in between them, right? So give up is one of that example. Even given is separable. We can use it in the separable sense. But look at something like come across. Can we use it as a separable phrasal verb? Come
No,
across.
ma'am.
No,
No, ma'am.
right? Yeah. So come across is inseparable. In the sense, I can only say I came across a huge house on my way to the college. I cannot say I came a huge house across on my way to college. This is wrong. So come across cannot take any intervening, uh, element or segment of language in between it, noun or pronoun or anything. No intervention is allowed. Hence, it's an inseparable phrasal verb. Okay. How about look after? Can we use anything to intervene? Look after. Look after.
Ma'am, separable.
Give me examples.
Look at my coat after you are done with yours.
No. You have used look and after as separate elements and not as phrasal verbs. Here you have used look as a verb and after as a preposition. That's not what we want. We need to use it as a phrasal verb.
I think, ma'am, it's an inseparable form because look after means we have to care about anyone. Or
This is also inseparable. Yeah, you're right. right? You cannot use the phrasal verb look after in the separable format. Like if I have to give you an example, I please, or let's take some other example. I look after my sister when my mother leaves for work, for example. So I cannot say I look my sister after when my mother leaves for work, right? This is a wrong construction. It's always I look after my sister, or I look after him, I look after her, I look after them, whatever your pronoun is, right? Object pronoun. Hmm? But it can never be I look them after. It's always I look after them. So this is also an example of inseparable phrasal verb. So the idea is whenever you have a phrasal verb, you try and construct a sentence and see if it is making sense to you or not, right? Otherwise, the method is that you have at least have the list of the inseparable verbs because they're not many. And then keep that in mind that, okay, this is not used as an inseparable one. That is the last resort. In case where you're not able to, figure out, this list may come to your help. But always the better option is to have a sentence written down or a sentence formulated to check if the meaning persists if you break open the sentence. Okay. Right. Arkoparna Das, I think your hands were raised. I'm sorry, I did not see it. Sonali, I'll come to you after that. Did you have a question?
Ma'am, actually, I joined a bit late, so couldn't connect
Because
to
of
that.
that. Okay, yeah, keep following the discussion. Most of it will come through again and again as we discuss questions. Okay, so no problem.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you.
Sonali, yeah, sure. Sonali, what's your question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, as you told that inseparable phrasal verb, we can use the personal pronoun and the noun.
Yes.
Can we use the preposition also?
No. Only these two categories. No prepositions. Just the personal pronoun, which is mostly the object pronoun, like, them, her, him, us, so on and so forth, and the noun. Okay, no other categories. Only these two can interfere.
Ma'am, one example is in the lecture that work hard and bring the best out in you. Ma'am, here the phrasal verb is bring out. So in between the bring out, it came the best.
Yes, the best is what? It is a noun. It's a nominal word. It's not an adjective, as you think. You probably have been confused because of that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, the best is it's a nominal usage there. It's not an adjective. It's not not used in the sense that the best, as you see best in the adjective, the superlative adjective thing. The best here stands for a noun, right? So basically you can complete it with anything else. I can say you try to bring the best, what was the sentence? Sorry, the best work in you, the best spirit in you, right? I can complete it with a noun. Even though it's just the best, it's understood that it's a nominal thing there. It's a noun-like thing there. But I can also very well include another noun and then make it a noun phrase and then use it with the phrasal verb, right? So bring out or bring the best out in you. I can change the best to, it's not wrong there, but I can also, what I technically mean is the best work. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it is noun only, right? May not, again, like we were discussing adverbial particle. No, this is also what we call as nominal particle, right? Which functions like a noun. It might look like another word category, but it functions like a noun. Okay. Like, for example, this is one example. And, things like smoking, it has an ing, but what do we use it as? We can use it as a noun also, right? Understood, Sonali?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So what was the discussion on separable and inseparable? So the point is that keep looking for this in the sentence constructions, which is why I advised you to listen and watch more of these cultural contents in English, so that you know exactly, right? Inseparable verbs, most of the time, you can guess it, while when you construct a sentence, you know that, okay, this doesn't make any sense. I should not be using it this. So it's not a problem. But to begin with, maybe you can have those lists. I think a few of them are already mentioned in the lecture. You can add, I think there could be plus or minus, no, not minus, plus 10 max, not more than that. Okay, maximum 10 more than what is mentioned. If you are someone who goes by list and studies, at this stage, you can do that. Or my strong suggestion is that you immerse yourself into those content so that, it's more natural for you. Okay, Abhay, you have a question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah, go
you
ahead.
have, ma'am, I think I should read some novels for improving my phrasal verb or watching content.
No, no,
It
no,
will
no.
help
You
or not.
don't. You can read them, but see, as far as the spoken content is concerned, no, it's better that you watch and listen to something.
And
Watch and
ma'am,
listen to
I
something.
I
Like
learned the
what?
rule which you mentioned in the lectures, but learning the rules, I don't remember any example. You ask for example now, but
Hmm.
I don't know any example.
No,
I just know
that's
that
again,
this phrasal
don't
verb is
learn the
separable with this.
example. You understand the examples, right? Understand the examples, and then next time when you read something, you should be able to point it out that, okay, this is an example of a phrasal verb. So you don't have to technically remember anything. If your concepts are clear around that, then it shouldn't be a problem,
So I
right?
should
So
watch some podcast like or something
yes.
else.
Watch podcasts or, watch something. And podcasts also, don't watch those serious things, right? Try and listen to conversations that are more casual in nature, because that is where this particular element of the language, phrasal verbs, are mostly used in casual conversations, right? So you can listen to something that's more light and, easier for your ears to process and understand and practice. Later on, you can work on the other one. The why I say no serious content is because their language is very formalized. So the possibility of using phrasal verbs is very limited. They'll prefer using more formal synthetic verbs above phrasal ones. So if it's a casual mode of conversation, right, then the chances of finding your phrasal verbs is abundant there, right? And it's also good because since you know what the conversation is about, the context in where you can use these phrasal verbs also, you get familiarized with the context as well. By context, I mean the meaning of the phrasal verbs. Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's why the suggestion on watching more pop culture for phrasal verbs.
Okay. Thank you
Okay,
so much.
yeah. Someone's hand, Aniket.
Yeah, ma'am, I joined late. Can I know what this content you are talking about?
Yeah, we are talking about phrasal verbs. For details, these are recorded session. Go back and check. We have discussed a lot of things on that. Phrasal verbs is what we are discussing right now.
No, no,
Both
I
the
get
form,
that.
function. Huh.
We are discussing about phrasal verbs, but what is the content you are talking about?
If you know it is phrasal verb, this is the content we are discussing. Right now, we were discussing on how to learn it. Somebody
Yeah,
asked.
you said that some English content we should watch.
I didn't mention anything in particular. I was telling them when you're choosing the content to watch for phrasal verbs, for proficiency on phrasal verbs, choose a content that is more immersed in the culture of the language. That is, which is more casual, like say a series or movie or something of that sort, and not serious things like news. And someone mentioned podcast, so I said podcast is fine, but make a selection or choice that's more casual, something that's more on lifestyle or culture or cinema, something of that sort, than serious topics. Okay, because chances of finding phrasal verbs are higher in casual conversations.
Yes, ma'am, got it.
Okay, sure. Is it Praveen?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I have a doubt about a question that appeared in the qualifier exam regarding
Okay.
separable.
Okay.
So there were four options: hit,
Huh.
on, keep, and stand for, call by.
Huh.
Correct answer was call by.
Yeah.
But the other for example, hit on. So if
Hmm.
somebody hit someone on the head or
Hmm.
keep him at a distance, there's a pronoun in between, right? So aren't those separable
Sorry?
phrasal verbs? For example, hit
Yeah, like
someone
he
on
kept me at a distance, like that.
keep him
The
at a distance.
phrasal verb is hit on, is it?
Yes.
And
So I'm saying, isn't hit on a phrasal verb?
hit on is a phrasal verb, yes.
But it says it's the wrong answer.
No, the question I don't think is whether it's a phrasal verb. The question would be either it's a separable or a
Separable, yeah,
inseparable, if I remember. Right.
Yeah.
Ma'am, which one of those are the separable?
Which one of the?
Which one of the options are separable?
No, I don't
Because
know what the other options are.
So just one question. So is hit on a separable phrasal verb or is it
Who is hit
inseparable?
on a separable phrasal verb? No, hit on is not a separable phrasal verb.
But
Ma'am,
if you
keep
consider
at.
the example that he hit him on the head,
Hit him on the head is not a phrasal. It is not used as a phrasal verb here.
Ma'am, is it something related to flirting?
Is it related to?
Flirting.
Hit on.
Yes,
It has
ma'am.
that meaning also. Hit on has that meaning, yeah. So this is what we're discussing, that hit on as a phrasal verb does not mean hit on something, like hit at something, right? Hit on has a different meaning. It's an idiomatic expression. Were you there in the beginning of the class, Praveen, or did you join like recently? You probably might have missed out on that part if that's the case.
this particular meeting, right?
Yes,
you-
this one. This one.
yeah,
Ma'am,
Yeah.
hit on
So-
also means discover something by chance. No?
Yes, yes. See, it could have multiple meanings. The only point we are saying is it does not have the literal meaning. So you can't use hit on in the sense that I hit on the head of somebody or hit on the head of something. That's not the meaning. Your meaning is correct. What he was saying is also correct. It's more of an urban meaning that he's saying of flirting, right? So that's also possible meaning. However, in both the cases, it does not mean, it does not have the literal meaning of hitting on something, hitting on some head or hand or whatever. Not the action of hitting. It's a figurative meaning. It's not the literal meaning. And that's why it is a phrasal verb. Okay.
And ma'am, keep at, is it a phrasal verb?
Which one?
Keep at.
Keep at.
Yeah.
Keep at is what? Question?
Is it a separable one?
Keep at something. Keep at, no.
Like ma'am, he
No.
kept me at a distance. So
No.
keep at, like there is me in between keep and at.
No. Keep at is, again, the meaning in which you're using it is not right. Keep at has a different meaning when used as a phrasal verb and it's not separable.
Ma'am, keypad would be continuing something?
Yes, correct. Correct. Persistently doing something, that is keep at. Keep at that work means continue
Okay, so
constantly.
what I was saying that kept me at a distance, this is literal meaning, right?
Yes, yes. So here there is no usage of this as a phrasal verb. In fact, there's no phrasal verb there.
Okay.
Okay. Vedant, you have a question? Vedant? Sonali?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
a question is related from phrasal verb, which is
Yeah.
in the qualifier exam. That
Okay.
is tutor. That question is tutor appears to have taken a hit. Ma'am, what the meaning of the taken a hit here?
Twitter appears to have taken a hit. Taken a hit means it has either collapsed or, something bad has happened to it.
Means it is it the meaning of the hit on or taken
No,
a
no.
hit is completely
No,
different.
this is, no. These are, both are different. Hit on is different from taken a hit. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, here it
Yeah.
would be said
But
that
I don't think here it is used as a phrasal verb. There is something else here. Was it given as a phrasal verb question? Taken a hit?
ma'am, would it be
Yes, ma'am.
setback
It
over
is
here?
written there.
But no, I think taken a hit cannot be a phrasal verb. It should be an idiom or a, not a phrase. I think it should be an idiom. Take a hit is an idiom. I look at the question. I don't think it would have been formulated that way. You had idioms and phrases for your exam, right? Was it a part
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
syllabus? I think yes. Yeah. So probably
Yes,
it's an
ma'am. It
idiom.
is.
Yeah. So they probably gave it because the idioms were a part of your syllabus. Okay. Because take a hit is not a phrasal verb. It doesn't qualify the structure or the function of a phrasal verb. This is an idiom.
Ma'am, phrasal verbs also depends on the context. Like hit on,
Phrasal
you were saying.
verb doesn't depend on the context. The whatever meaning you intend to have in a given context, your phrasal verb will be taken based on that. Okay.
Okay.
Huh.
But Ravi was saying that hit on also means flirting. So the context tells us, like if someone
Yeah, in
writes
that
hit on.
sense, yes. Yes, in that sense, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone else's hands. Who's this? Vedant. Yeah, Vedant, you can speak now. No, not Vedant. This is Vinayak.
And someone is asking in the chat difference between idiom and phrase.
Idioms and phrases we'll discuss next week. There's definitely difference between idiom and phrase. Idioms
What's the
can be
max
sometimes
length of a
phrases. Sorry?
phrasal verb?
Sorry? Please repeat yourself. I did not hear.
What's the max length of a phrasal verb?
There's nothing called a length of the phrasal verb. Phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and an adverbial particle. Length is not a thing there. Length doesn't matter. A phrase can be infinitely long. Because
What is this particle?
Sorry? Article?
What is this particle? Like in the lectures, you have said.
Yeah, we did discuss this in the beginning of the session, what a particle is. There was about a 10 to 15 minutes discussion on that. I think you can listen to it carefully. We'll have it recorded. So look back at it, okay? What it would mean. Praveen, I think I'll only have time enough to take your questions today, but okay, doesn't matter. Go ahead, Praveen.
We discuss phrases and idioms in the next class, but still, can you give a brief difference between the two, the idioms and phrasal verbs?
So see, idioms can be like a phrase, but the simple thing would be that your idioms can also be phrases, right? They can look like a phrase, but not all phrases will be like an idiom. Okay. So idioms like the ones which we discussed right now, again, are going to have figurative meanings. Like you cannot look at the overall meaning of the words that are used in that particular phrase or the sentence and deliver a meaning to the person. It will have a very different meaning than the words that are put together to form that, right? And if it is to be a simple thing, then I would say that idioms usually come in the form of statements or sentences, but phrases, they appear as phrases mostly. Like, these examples that we just discussed, take a hit. This is a phrase, but this also has an idiomatic meaning. Structurally, idioms will look like a sentence, like a full sentence, and your idiomatic phrase will be just like a phrase. Meaning wise, both these sentence like idioms and phrase like phrases will give you idiomatic meanings or figurative meanings. Okay. Yeah. Basic difference is this. There's no one type of difference. If you look at it structurally, then idioms and phrases, of course, as the name suggests, a phrase is like a phrase, right? It will look like a phrase incomplete. right? Or half broken, not like a full sentence, but idioms will be like a full sentence, right? But meaning wise, if you look at them, then both the phrase and an idiom will have idiomatic meanings, which is no literal meanings possible here also. The meaning is always figurative or non-literal. Okay. So take a hit as a phrase and it has an idiomatic meaning, like to collapse or to lose footfall, so on and so forth. But something like all's not well in the house, right? This is an idiom which has again an idiomatic meaning. So both the idioms and the phrases will have idiomatic meanings, but structurally they look different. Phrase will be a phrase and idiom will be like more like a sentence like or statement like appearance. Okay. That's all. But this part is not very important as far as the idioms and phrases are concerned. What is important is the knowledge of the meanings that each of them have and the context where you can use it. Okay. They're together called as idioms and phrases because both of them generate idiomatic meanings, and that is what matters. That's the reason why they're used together. Okay, got your answer. Who was asking? Praveen, were you asking?
Praveen. Yes.
Okay, got it. Used together because both of them have idiomatic meanings. Okay. Right. Any other question? I wanted to do this exercise with you, but do you have a follow-up class? Is there
Yes,
anything else
ma'am.
that's lined up at 7? Sorry?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a
Yes, ma'am.
class. Okay.
Class.
So then we'll continue doing this. We'll take this up. We'll solve this question next time before we,
Excuse me, ma'am.
start off the class. Yes, go ahead.
Ma'am, I have a question from the graded assignment week 5.
Okay. Please tell me the question. I don't have it in front of me. If you can let me know, I'll try to solve it. We have, I think, another couple of minutes. If you have any related doubts, you can ask this now on phrasal verbs, so that next time when we come to the class, we can start looking at the questions.
No, ma'am, it is on tense.
Okay, so before that, anyone, any other questions on related to this? Any doubts that you have? If you don't have anything, you may leave the session. People who have questions may stay back. We'll meet next week with these questions again. I think stop sharing the screen. Yeah, Sonali, go ahead.
Ma'am, one question is there. Nitrogen atoms dash around the exoplanet. Circle, cycling, cycles. Ma'am, the answer is cycle. Why not cycling?
Cycle.
Because, sorry,
Cycle or
circle.
circle? Okay, okay.
Ma'am, cycle also and circle also are cycling. One option is cycle, one option is circle, and one option is cycling. I choose option cycling. And the answer is cycle. Why not cycling? Ma'am, because it is a continuous process. That's why I'm choosing cycling.
No, I'm still trying to process the question. So your sentence is nitrogen atoms blank and then
dash around the exoplanet.
Okay. Okay.
Circle, cycles, cycling.
Okay. So it's
There
circle,
is no
cycles
cycling,
and
it's
cycling, is it?
circling.
No, wait, let me try and understand. The options are circle, cycles and cycling, is it?
Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
circle, circling, and cycles.
Circle, circling and cycles. Yeah? Okay. So why the answer is, see, this is a question not in tense. I think they probably meant it in the subject verb agreement format. So nitrogen atoms, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So if it's nitrogen atoms, then your subject is what? It's plural. Nitrogen atoms. Hence the following verb has to be in the plural format as well, and hence circle. So cycles or cycling will not fit there. What's the answer? Circle is the answer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
So could you please explain the meaning of here the circle?
A circle basically they meant is rotate, I guess.
Planet
Okay.
circle around the
Encircles,
sun.
no, it's similar to the meaning of encircle or circle. Basically means rotates or goes around.
Ma'am, why not cycles?
Ma'am, one.
Not cycle. Cycle doesn't make sense. No, nitrogen atom cycles. I don't think it's a right usage. I mean, it doesn't fit semantically. The meaning looks wrong.
Okay.
Huh. Circle should be the right answer. Cycle doesn't make sense here.
And can we use circling like in other contexts, like the nitrogen atom circling around the exoplanet is too big? Is it a correct sentence then?
Nitrogen atom circling around. No. So the point is we use language minimally. If not required, then you shouldn't be using it. You should simply say nitrogen atoms that circle around or that circles. That's enough, right? Why bring in ing form unnecessarily? Ing in the grammatical sense is reserved for a particular use, which is to show progressiveness, right?
Ma'am,
So that's enough.
ma'am, that's the reason I chosen the option circling.
But I don't think it's right.
Means
Nitrogen
here the
atom
difference is totally different.
atoms cycles violate. This is graded assignment, right?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Deadline has been passed.
No, that's all right. Even without that, I'm just trying to look at the question. I'm just trying to see if what I've understood is right. This looks like a case of the violation of subject-verb agreement, but I want to see what question this is exactly. Graded assignment, and this is week 5, right?
Yes, ma'am. Question number 10.
Okay. English 1 September, week 5. 5 graded. Okay. The last question, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nitrogen atoms dash around the exoplanet. Circling. No, how will you use circling? If you use the word circling there, then the sentence is incomplete, right? Nitrogen atoms circling around the exoplanet. You should have something that follows up in order to finish off that sentence. If you use circling, then this is an incomplete sentence.
Ma'am, then what I said is correct.
Ma'am, then you
What
have
were
to
you
use
saying?
R.
Nitrogen atom circling?
Around the exoplanet is too big.
Is too big, are too big, not
Yeah.
is too big.
Yeah.
That in that case it's fine.
Okay.
In that case it's fine because there you're using it only as a what is that, a dependent clause, so it's okay. But here, if you use circling, your sentence would be incomplete because it won't have any verb. Okay, Sonali. And cycles, because it's not meaning wise, it doesn't make any sense. Circling will keep your sentence incomplete. Circle is the right one because that's what will agree with the number of the subject that's given here, nitrogen atoms, plural subject.
Ma'am, one more question.
Hmm.
Dash the match at 10 or 11. Options are is, will not, are.
Hmm.
And the answer of this question is.
Yeah.
Ma'am, why not will?
Will they match at 10 or 11? It's a wrong sentence,
Yes,
right?
ma'am,
You
but
should,
it's asking
Be
at
there.
the future.
No. You see, if you have to use will, you have to ask, will the match be at 10 or 11? Not will the match at 10 or 11, right?
Means it's a present.
No. Is the match at 10 or 11? Yes, this one is in the present form. Yeah. But this is a question format. So basically the sentence is the match is at 10 or 11 and you are questioning that sentence, is the match at 10 or 11? If you're like forming an interrogative sentence out of it. So yes, it is in present tense. Is the match at 10 or 11? Yes. Tense is present.
Means, ma'am, as the question will be dash
Huh.
be
Huh.
match at 10 or 11, then we are using the will.
Will, if you have to use will, then it has to be, will the match be at 10 or 11? Okay. Will cannot be used alone when used in the interrogative format. You have
Yes,
to add
ma'am.
the verb be. Yeah. Which is why it's not will here. Okay. Even if you're using will not, again, you will have to use be. Will not the match be at 10 or 11? Whether will or negation of will, it has to have the auxiliary be with it. Okay.
Ma'am,
But in
one
the
more
need.
doubt.
Huh.
October works for us.
Huh.
Suman will dash. Suman will not dash by them. Have
Hmm.
graduated, graduating.
I have graduated, no?
Ma'am, what's the meaning here? October works for us.
October works for us means the time October is okay for us. Okay, probably they are doing some project or anything, and they might have asked, will October be an okay time for you to work on this or finish it? So the response is, yeah, October works for us. I mean, the time given in October works for us. We are fine with the given date. That's what it means.
Okay, ma'am. Ma'am, two questions from the qualifier exam.
Okay.
One is the meeting dash just
Hmm.
before dinner. Brought out, broke up, broke into, broke out.
Yeah, the sentence again.
The meeting dash just
Uh,
before dinner.
what it should be broke up, right? Broke up just before dinner.
Yes, ma'am. That
Huh.
is the
Huh.
correct answer, but I
Huh.
chosen the option broke out. Could you please explain it?
Breakout is it has a very different meaning.
Ma'am, it is
Breakout
a
means to
phrasal
bar.
verb.
Yeah, yes. Both of them are phrasal verbs, right? Breakout is wrong because the meaning of the phrasal verb breakout means to
Start
you
suddenly
know start
with
suddenly or yes, or
violence,
something that has
like a flood. Ma'am, you are not audible.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Okay, guys, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry. I think I got disconnected. Okay, yeah. So breakout, that's wrong because the meaning is different, right? Uh, in the example that is given here, the most suitable answer would be broke up. Okay. And both are phrasal verbs. Yes, you're right. Okay, Sonali, any other question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, one
Okay.
more question.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Pick the odd one out based on the initial sound. Near,
Hmm.
dear,
Hmm.
dear,
Hmm.
gear.
Near,
And the
dear.
correct
What
near,
are the other two?
dear,
Huh.
tear, gear.
Okay.
And ma'am, the
Near,
correct
dear.
option is gear. Why not
Okay.
near? Because it's a nasal sound.
Near, dear, tear, gear. Tear, gear, and dear. Mm, mm, it's a nasal sound, and then you have tear, gear, and deer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Near, dear, gear. Oh, yes. Okay, this one I'll take as an answer. Tear, gear,
Okay, ma'am.
deer. Yeah, they'll let you know later. I'll check with them and confirm with you. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Hmm. Okay. All right then. Any other questions, anyone? Shall we wrap up? Okay then. Thank you. We'll meet next week. We'll do these questions on
Thank
phrasal
you,
verb
ma'am.
and stuff. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Are you guys all qualified?